Welcome to episode 4. I'm Dr. Rohrich from Dallas, Texas, and this is my podcast, Rohrich Knose. And we've talked about a lot of other things between going to be an expert and COVID, but let's talk about the nose. It's one of the things I'm an expert in. And so how do you become an expert? How do you find a rhinoplasty surgeon? And then how do you find the one that's best for you? I mean, those are all hard questions. And those are all things that I think you really need to spend a lot of time on. It's probably the most complicated, most challenging procedure that we do in all of plastic surgery. So I would say you really need to do your homework because, this podcast, just like it's really for your health, it's your best health, and it's about you. So, in aesthetic surgery, the most complicated thing we do is rhinoplasty. It's the most protruding part of our face. It's our nose. And how do you want to portray that to others and to yourself? And how do you select somebody that's going to have the same vision that you do or that can guide you to have the best nose that looks the best on you? I'll just say it's a journey, okay? Doing a lot of rhinoplasties. I see so many people that have had so many rhinoplasties and they just have lost their way. So let me shortcut that for you. And first and foremost, your outcome is determined 100% by your surgeon that you select to do your surgery. Okay, that's the best way to get the best outcome. And that doesn't mean I'm going to be your surgeon or anybody else, but you have to be comfortable with that surgeon, that expert, that person, because it's a journey. They're with you for 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, I follow my patients 8, 10 years because I want to see how that nose evolves as your life goes on because it changes over time. And rhinoplasty is not a snapshot. It's really part of the progression of your life because it changes as you change. It can soften, it'll droop over time. It makes all kinds of changes, even though in the operating room, it can be perfect. So to back up, how do you find somebody? First, you've got to find somebody who's either a board certified otolaryngologist, facial plastic surgeon, or a plastic surgeon. Okay. Other than that, don't bother. So they're either an ENT or a plastic surgeon. They have to be board certified by the American Board of Otolaryngology or board certified by the American Board of Plastic Surgery. That gets you in the ballpark. That's all. I mean, and when you're in the ballpark, you can still strike out. Okay. So what you got to do is you have to practice. You have to practice on finding who's going to give you the best result. Do you want to first hit double or triple, or do you want to try and get a home run? I mean, as you go around the bases and trying to find an expert, it's going to become harder and harder. And it'll take more time, but also, the cost may be higher as well. You may have to travel because, there's only a handful of real board certified and plastic surgery and rhinoplasty experts in the country. And everybody's famous on their own website or Instagram. You know that. I mean, everybody is. And so you got to sort it out yourself. I mean, I can't. Every day when I look at Instagram and I see and TikTok, I see all these quote unquote, experts, and some of them I've never heard. And they may have, 1 or 2 good cases, maybe, but it's all about consistency. It's all about long-term results. It's all about taking care of the patient. And, sometimes you have to do a revision. Even myself, who has done well over 7,000 rhinoplasties, I have to do a revision. Of course, we're all human. Nobody's perfect. As I always tell my patients, I'm not God. No matter what you do, it really comes down to 3 things. It's the experience of the surgeon. Do they do this 3, 4 times a week? The expertise of the surgeon. Do they teach it? Are they known as an expert by others, not just on their own website? And then can they show reproducible, excellent results? That's the third E. In presentations, publications, have they written books? What about their website? Instagram, all those things are important. There's not one source. In fact, you should look to see the consistency. And that's the other thing that's really important, the consistency of having really good to great results all on these all parameters, wherever you look. And then, of course, reviews are good, but you know all about reviews. You can tell a patient review that's true, that talks about you, talks about your staff, and nobody has perfect reviews, nobody. But they have to be real reviews. I see so many reviews that quote unquote, don't look like they were written by anybody. But, when a patient writes a review, certainly about when I do it, you can feel the passion in there because I hopefully have done a great job with them and they have let you know, because most of them have found me because they read a review. So those are all the things you need to do. So expertise, experience, exceptional results, consistency across all social media platforms, whether it's, your website, Twitter, Instagram, even TikTok, all those things are important, Facebook. And then after that, you can ask your friends, you can DM, patients that have talked about, Dr. Rohrich or whoever you're selecting. And then it's time to make an appointment. And I think you should make an appointment and ask all these questions that are very important, okay? About, you already know that they're board certified, you know that they're an expert on it. And then really, you need to think of your top 3 concerns, okay? Because when you come and see me, when you're asking me questions, I'm always thinking and asking you questions too. So while I'm interviewing you, you should be interviewing me and saying, hey, is this somebody that I can work with and have a relationship with as a professional? Because, what if things go right? What if things go wrong? I mean, is he or she going to be with me? And if the swelling takes a little longer, if they even need a revision, I'm there. I'm there for you. Nobody's got a perfect result. I've never done a perfect rhinoplasty, and I've done a lot. But I never leave the operating room until it looks as perfect as it can be. And that's very important. The only promise I make to patients, because I show them computer images and their education reviews, but I do promise them one thing. I will never leave the operating room until it looks as great as it can look. That's my promise and pledge to you. Whether it's a rhinoplasty, a facelift, or whatever I do, I won't leave till it looks as great as it can look. And that's very important. I mean, you're going to do what really is you set out to do. And then how you heal is dependent upon your genetics, whether you get an infection or any of those other things, which are uncommon. And then just how wounds heal. And I think that's really important. So, once you have that understanding and can grasp that and are realistic about that, then you can consider proceeding. But you have to be realistic. I think the things I look at is, is a patient realistic? When I show somebody computer imaging, I always tell them, your images, they're just educational views. You may look better than that. But these are acceptable views of what I'm aiming for, and you'll probably look better, but it's going to take a year or longer to see it. It can't happen overnight, and everybody always has swelling and asymmetry, and it looks like it's deviated. That's all normal because I never leave neither does any real expert unless the nose is perfect, the tip is perfect, the dorsum's perfect, everything's great. But, then they have to heal. And I think that's what we all have to contend with. And that's why, we're different from, sculptors that do marble or granite. I wish we would do that because when you're done, you're done. That's the great thing about, what Michelangelo did when he was a master. When he was done, David's looked great for hundreds of years. So, but we're operating with human flesh. It's in the living. So it's a little different. So I think sometimes people need to understand that, and sometimes they don't. And if they don't, I can't help them because, like I said, I'm not God and nobody is. And, you have to be patient. You have to be realistic, and you have to make sure that, we are in the business of improving your nose, your face, your shape of your life, but we're not in the business of, improving your life. We're facilitating you to be happy, to have a better life, but if you're going to have a better life or be happy, that comes from here and from here. Okay. I'm giving it to you to make you look better. So that's the difference. And you've got to understand that. Just because when somebody says to me, I'm going to get this new job with my new nose, it just won't work out. I mean, I wish it would, but I've never had a patient come in and say, well, you know what? I got this new job just because of your rhinoplasty. I mean, we want you to get the new job because of you, and maybe you look better, but you look better because you were more confident in yourself. We're building you that confidence that now I actually can feel it. And I see that especially in young teenage girls. I have a daughter, and, girls can be tough on each other in high school and middle school. So when I operate and do rhinoplasty on these teenage girls, it's amazing the transformation you see. Even in months, when they come in, they actually just have a more air of self-confidence, and their mom will tell me that. So that's phenomenal. And I think that's very gratifying because it's transformational for them. And just like doing an otoplasty on a young boy because they get bullied in school. So you correct their prominent ears, it's transformational. Same with rhinoplasty in young women. But in an adult, you have to know that it's going to change and improve your shape and contour, make you look better, breathe better. That's good. And sometimes we even do a chin augmentation. I will tell you all about those things because when you come see me, I'm going to analyze your whole face, your nose, your eyes, and your chin. And many times I'll do a chin augmentation with a rhinoplasty. So it's the complete picture. That's what I'm saying. So not only will have the expert have all those 3 E's and be able to deliver, because when you get in the operating room, you have to deliver. And that's the grandstand. That's the premiere where you have to perform. And then the recovery is the long, arduous part. You'll see the amazing result early at the reveal, and then you get swelling over the months to come. All that is normal. Sometimes you may need a little Kenalog or steroids to soften the tip. And it takes 12 to 15 months, especially if you're young, thick skin, male. And then, of course, if you have revision rhinoplasty, that puts you in a completely different category. Revision rhinoplasty, and I'll have a podcast about that later, is a completely different operation. One is to restore from the normal or the deviation. The other one is really reconstructive, where you're returning it to normal. It's like putting the puzzle back together. A primary rhinoplasty is you got all the pieces, you just got to put them in the right place. The secondary one, the pieces are missing. And sometimes they're totally gone and you have to make them. So this is what it's all about. And, one begets the other. But if a primary rhinoplasty is this hard, a secondary one can be much, much harder. And again, I'll talk about that in another podcast. But so many times people can confuse that. And, because you're an expert in primary does not make you a secondary rhinoplasty expert. I'll tell you, it's an even higher bar for getting good results because you have to rebuild it with, rib graft, ear cartilage, septum, all kinds of structures. It's like rebuilding a house after a hurricane. Sometimes the roof is gone. Sometimes the foundation is shaken and you have to restore all of that. And sometimes it's all gone and you can't breathe. And like a woman I did recently, that came from China and had, total destruction of her nose and her ability to breathe. So these are things that are very gratifying. And that's why, we want to help others. We want to restore your nose, restore your life. And that's what life's all about. And find somebody that's got the passion. Okay. And all of this really, it's all about, if you really, you got to find somebody that's passionate. When I walk in a room where I talk to somebody, I know in a minute whether they're passionate, because when I talk about rhinoplasty or something I love to do, you can see my eyes sparkle and you should hear it too. So when you're interviewing a plastic surgeon or a rhinoplasty surgeon, if you don't feel that passion, you're not in the right place. So It's all about your passion. Your passion is here, goes to here, and then it emanates in your hands when you're doing your rhinoplasty. Those are very important things. So you've got to have the want to, which comes from your heart, to do it. Okay? And you've got to do it well. And you can't leave till it's the best it can be. And that's why when people say, how long does the surgery take? I said, well, it'll take as long as it does to get the best result that I can give you. And sometimes, and this will be another podcast, sometimes there are certain people that we can't help. So to summarize, know before you go, do your homework. You are your best advocate for getting the best results. I've given you the secrets: expertise, experience, exceptional results, board certification, interview them while you're interview them while they're interviewing you. And also, you have to like them, because I always think of worst case scenario, because if you have a complication, you want a surgeon that's a doctor first before they're a surgeon. Even though it says plastic surgery, I'm really a doctor first. It's MD, it's a physician first, not plastic surgeon. So you have to be likable, affable, available, affordable, all those 3 E's. And that's very important. And so I think in the end, after all of those things, that's the bottom line. And then it's up to you. And be realistic about what they can and cannot do. And if you follow this recipe, you'll have an amazing transformation, and your chances for having a successful surgery in rhinoplasty or whatever you decide to do will be very high. Not a guarantee, but it'll be very high. So join me and watch my podcasts and future podcasts on what you need to know before you go, not only in healthcare, but all the other things that we do in medicine and life. Have a great one.